Hey guys, I'm so excited to talk with you a little bit about how to finish the month strong. Typically, we don't get this amazing opportunity of being like right by the end of the month on a Monday. So I thought it was a perfect time to hit this content. So we're just gonna go through some things. If you have any questions, I want you to just ask. We'll kind of present the content because I've got a couple of teachers that are feeling a little snoozy tonight. They've had a rough start to the week, so we'll get them the recording. Okay. So the first and foremost, obviously, I'm going to recommend that you have set a goal. Okay. If you're not in a place where you're setting goals in your business, this needs to change. Okay. The reason is because if you are floating, if you are just hanging out, and maybe that's what you want to do, but if you're in the space of that you want to move your business forward, you need to be setting a goal. Okay. All this, like, I just want to just be kind of like, everything's fine. I'm just kind of, just floating and just, that's okay. But don't be surprised when it doesn't move forward. I mean, that's just the way that it goes. If you're not actually marching towards something, you're just going to hang out. You might stay where you're at. And we know how this works is that attrition, especially as your team gets larger, attrition is an absolute real thing. So what does attrition mean? Attrition means that you are, if you add nobody, you will have an attrition rate that is natural, meaning you're just naturally going to lose people. And the more that and it's different things. You might not lose them forever, but maybe they're, have to, I'm trying to, I think everybody's muted. Okay, I'm muting. And it might just be all flukes, right? Natural stuff, not that they don't love the company, not that they don't love the products, but for whatever reason. So there's a natural attrition rate. So, while you're setting a goal, you want to be thinking about that natural attrition rate. I don't have a super intelligent way for you to figure your attrition rate. But it's typically usually around 20%. That might be a little heavy or a little low for your organization, depending on obviously when you have less orders, you'll need to lose less to kind of get that 20%. But the whole point is that my advice is that you need to start setting goals. If you're not setting goals and you're not married to them and you're not committed to them, ask yourself, drop into curiosity with yourself. What exactly am I delaying? Why am I not setting goals? And this is not a goal setting call, so we're not going to talk about safe goals or challenging goals or anything like that. But the whole point of me bringing that up is that to finish strong, you're obviously, once the 28th hits and all those subscriptions run, you're going to take what your goal was. Okay. If it was point based and you're going to subtract, where you are right now, and you're going to come up with a deficit. You might be surpassing that goal. And that's a great space to be in. Right. And then I'm going to ask you how much farther we can go. Okay. But if we're working on a deficit, that's when we get creative and dig in, and really try to close that gap. Okay. So that is, obviously for a perfect example, let's say that you wanted to, end at 200 points, your deficit, you were at 160 points after your subscriptions ran, you've got 40 points to make up. So we're in your organization looking for 8 orders, right? 40 divided by 5 is 8. And how can we do that? So that is what we are going to kind of walk through in this call. What can we do to get creative once our belief is established that we are going for it, that we're not afraid to fail, and we're riding hard toward that. So there's basically 3 things that we can do at the end. So obviously we can reach out to others and inspire them. Okay, we can reach out to others and inspire them, meaning what are their goals? What's their deficit? As the team leader, you get the opportunity to drop into that coaching role. Whereas, when obviously we know how the comp plan works, we know how math works. Okay. So there are times when we're going to be, coaching somebody else. And by them doing that, that's going to help us hit our goal. That's just the natural way that this compensation plan works. So reaching out and inspiring others. At the end, you want to keep posting. You don't want to stop posting just because you're doing some more administrative things. You want to amp that up. You want to amp up engagement, right? Just because you're posting, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily engaging. So how can you engage with people that are on your list or in your pipeline and your potentials list? And the last thing that you can do at the end, and we're going to circle back around to some other of these topics, but belief is so critical, and it's really checking in with your belief. Because at the end, you could be facing an uphill battle, and how many times you just throw in the towel? It's too hard. It's too hard. We can't do it. And that's really just examples. That's just really, evidence that your belief is wavering. So it's typically your belief in yourself, the company, or the industry. Okay. And so these are all very normal things. This is not a, scarlet letter on you. This is nothing like that. It's just something that you get to work on. You get to believe something new anytime you want. So that's the thing that is so crazy. So here are some areas of focus that we're going to look at. We're going to look at some tips on back office, tips on your team, and then tips on follow-ups and reach outs. So, my advice is that you want to be checking your virtual office daily. Okay, this is something that you need to be doing. You want to be in those reports, because as a business owner, if you owned a candle shop, that's what you would be doing. Okay, if you were a business owner of any other kind, you would be in those numbers. You would be checking in. You would be writing down your points maybe daily and kind of monitoring that month over month over month. Okay. So one thing that you're going to look for are credit card declines. This is sometimes a service that you maybe, if you have a virtual assistant you're offering. I know that, the chunk of my business that is monitored by my assistant, they're getting some of that, but there's a different element to me sending a personal message. Right? They may get that, kind of quick reminder, but potentially they know that this is your business number, and, reaching out and doing that, that soft reach, and it does not have to feel icky. You might be thinking, oh, that's so icky. So most of the time, to be completely frank with you, they don't know that this is an issue, or that this has happened, or maybe there was a fraud. This is a great time to check in and show TLC. Right? Because if you have been doing everything, that customer care that you should have been doing, right? You're going to know if this person is unhappy. You would have already known, right? You would have known if this was a problem. So really staying in that customer care. Okay. Obviously messaging those who didn't order, or they, don't have subscriptions in place on your level 1 is really important. Understanding, and I don't believe that this is even something that we need to be doing at the very end. I believe we need to be doing this all month long. Like, people typically know that at the end of the month, all the network marketers activate. Okay. I don't know what it is about us, but we like to ride that shit at the very end, just crazy. Okay. We don't have to do that though. We get to show up every day in consistent daily effort. And I would really recommend you doing that, because it's going to save you. And here's what's going to save you: that emotional valley that you're going to hit when you wake up on the 28th and you're sad. Have you ever done that? You're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen. Like, guys, we get the opportunity to show up on a daily basis and stay in this. Show up daily. Some people do daily point goals and they love that. Okay. Sometimes people do a daily order goal or a connection goal. Don't sleep on that, because it is felt, the urgency is felt in your business. Okay, so obviously another thing we can do is messaging people who are under 100. This is really something that, you're going to have subscriptions all month long that are processing. I would be having this conversation all month long, not waiting until the very end, because maybe you've got, 25 subscriptions that are under $100, and then you're showing up and you're overwhelmed, and maybe you're getting bad news, and maybe, it's the wrong time for them. So opening the conversation early, and something that you can do from the very beginning is look at what is in these subscriptions, right? You're going to know from the very beginning that so-and-so only has a MetaBurn in their cart. Again, I don't believe this is stuff that we have to wait until the very end. Okay. And then another strategy that you can do is, and again, this is something that can be done at any time, but if you are looking for a strategy to close that deficit of what your goal was and where you ended, looking at those people with those long-term subs that have been off, right? And can we restart them? Can we get them more excited about coming back? Can we offer them something new, right? And it's all about really showing up in flexibility with them, opening a conversation and just, dropping in and just asking, like, have you ever thought about trying this again? I know it didn't work before. I know, we went the gut health route. Could we try, weight management instead? I know that's a goal of yours. Could we try hormone balancing? I know that's a goal of yours. So always putting them first is really, really critical. Okay, so with your team, what you want to do in this moment, especially at the very end, is you want to look at who's close to ranking up or re-ranking. And you want to actively engage with them, right? You want to find out, how can we partner right now? A great way to do this is, especially as your team gets larger and larger, when you are in your virtual office and there's a column on the very right that says team points. If you click that twice, your highest points will be at the top and it will go to the bottom. And what that does is it just gives you gives you kind of an organization way to look at it and say, I see that, so-and-so is 3 orders away from senior silver. This is something, typically we have 3 or 4 days at the end of the month, other than February. And, really thinking about partnering with them, getting them excited, reaching out to them. Obviously, another thing is we're going to ask VIPs to post on social media. This is a underutilized method that has immediate impact. It is underutilized. It has immediate impact. Imagine how much momentum you're going to feel if you have 4 new people for you posting with a picture of their pink drink on social media. You get to monitor their network's reactions. You get to monitor who's liking and commenting. You get to monitor, maybe they're willing to do that risky thing by posting. Okay, hey, would you be willing to reach out to some people and put them in messages with me? Maybe they're not commenting on your post, but could we take it a step further? A lot of times when we're trying to rank up or we're getting to a place where we're ranking up, we have to spin a couple different plates. It's not always going to be one route. And I think the mistake that we make is that, we really set the expectation that, we do one thing. Okay. And then, oh, it didn't work. Right. Oh, it didn't work. It's not for me. But we know as well as anything is that if you were running a brick and mortar business, you would be tackling it on every angle. You would be doing all the things. You would be asking people for referrals. You'd be asking people to promote you, and you would do it shamelessly. Okay. And so I think that it's very, very important that we start, asking people to just, and maybe they don't want to get their products paid for, maybe that freaks them out. Usually they are willing to post for you. Okay. Usually they're willing to say something nice. All right. So then the last part is obviously our conversations that we're having. We're having follow-ups. Okay. And obviously boldness works. We want to use boldness. And maybe you're somebody that has just really welcomed boldness already. Encouraging boldness in your teammates, encouraging them to, really dig in and utilize boldness. Obviously there's that icky talking about the business thing that until you're hardened, been in this about 10 years, you'll do it. Okay. I have no issue talking about it. But I know that it's something that it took me time to get my legs with that specific issue. So how can you, get more comfortable and practice in these last days of the month? How can you show up to this? How can you think, okay, well, the way I've been doing this isn't working, and really dig in and maybe do some research or phone a friend, right? Ask in our leaders thread of what is working for others, because there is not a more inclusive and helpful culture than this team. We all want us all to win. I know that I want every single one of you to win. I want every single one of you to earn every trip. Anything that's in your heart, I want you to be, receiving that. And so just rely on this culture. Even if I'm not available, there is going to be a leader that will love you in that moment and support you and show up with you and message with you if needed. So, if your goal feels too lofty, and I kind of talked about this at the beginning, but if your goal feels too lofty, you've got to check in with belief. Okay. You got to set a sense of urgency for yourself. You got to put like limits and deadlines on this business because it will make all the difference. And a lot of times people delay or reject making goals because they're like, oh, I don't, it's too out of balance. It's too difficult. And we have a lot of thoughts around, creating a little bit of sacrifice in this business. But I want to tell you that there is literally nothing that, there is nothing, no huge reward that's ever going to come without sacrifice. And if you feel like you've been sacrificing, how can you sacrifice potentially differently? Okay, maybe it's not what you're sacrificing in this moment. Maybe we need to pivot in another direction. Maybe we need to sacrifice like ego space, or we need to sacrifice, I don't even know what that would look like. This is just kind of a general advice. Okay. But, a lot of times in order to rank our business up, we have to set something down and pick something else up. Okay. And what does that look like? Maybe we're setting down scrolling on TikTok. Okay. And no shade for scrolling. Okay. But maybe we need to set down, really being afraid of what people are going to say. Maybe we need to set down working with leaders who aren't moving, and we need to pick up new conversations. We need to pick up getting into Facebook groups. We need to pick up new networks. Maybe we need to pick up in-person culture building activities. I don't know what it is. If you want to chat with me one-on-one and how that could show up for you and what that might look like, I am 100% here. But I like, without a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you that if you're not moving forward in your business, you might not be setting goals. You might have a belief issue that is super easy to fix. Okay. Or you might just be holding on to something that isn't serving you. And we all get into those patterns. How many times are we doing like a negative thing? Maybe it's like a really sugary coffee, but it's like our favorite thing. We keep doing it. And we're not, our weight isn't budging, or our energy level crashes, but we feel like we deserve it. So, the point is that, in this experience, you get to just get really clear with yourself and honest. Right. I've had such great, honest conversations lately about, okay, what do you think it is? What if you had to take a guess, what would it be? And, a lot of times when we get in that space with ourselves, we are better coaches ultimately, right? When we can identify our holes or our vulnerabilities, or know that we need to change something, or we need to, hey, I maybe do need to sacrifice. Hey, maybe I do need to show up in this different way. Maybe I need to work a little bit more than this certain amount that I've been working, whatever that might look like. So, those are my tips for the end of the month. Finishing strong really comes from commitment. Okay. Finishing strong comes from commitment. There are all these tactics, but the reason that you don't finish strong is because you say, oh, well, that was my goal, but never mind. And you don't run at it like you're on fire. And that's why that there isn't a strong finish. So that is a belief thing. We get to believe anything we want at any given time. We get to believe that it's going to work. We get to show up for that. We get to pray boldly. And I know that every time I do that, I'm just so thankful, and I'm farther than I would have been. Right. Because that emotional feeling of waking up on the 28th, frustrated, upset, feeling like it didn't work out, and then just checking out because of all of those things we start to tell ourselves. What if instead we let it just inspire us and say, I'm going to get farther than I am right now. I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, but I know I can get farther than I am right now. And I'm going to commit to myself right now. And if you need accountability partners, this is the group to do it with. Okay. This is the group to do it with. You will find somebody that is willing to kick you in the butt, or, just say it to you straight. You'll find a person. I've watched so many beautiful best friendships blossom on this team, in this culture. that would have never known each other. I know I feel that very way myself, just like all these beautiful experiences and friendships and relationships that I get. And I want that for you too. So don't forget that there are people around you that aren't maybe in the same place in their business, or they're feeling the same way. And how could you guys liven each other up? What would that look like? I know for me, it's really powerful to chase somebody. I always say that I chase people, right? Like these women who are just like killing it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and so that's just what really livens me up. So let's, I want to encourage you, just really let this just marinate in you. Maybe it will spur some creativity in your mind. Maybe you'll really think about it and say, I really need to set this down, or you know what, I need to pick this up, whatever that might look like. So good luck. I love you guys. We have another full day ahead. And I'm so super excited. I'm taking my screenshot of everybody on here because I'm doing the giveaway. And I appreciate you 100% choosing to be here on Monday, because of the choice. Okay. And I see you. I appreciate all of you. I love you. See ya.